What is up, everyone? It is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Still hard to believe that it's August already. Time is flying by. Flying by a little too fast. Here in like a month, it'll be going into fall already. But, so every morning, I read a daily devotional. Now, I get these devotionals from In Touch. You can get them free. intouch.org. It's from Dr. Charles Stanley, pastor, from his ministries. Like I said, I read these every day. You'll get one for each month. It's, intouch.org. But, I read these every morning. It's good to, like I said, it's a little motivation. Helps me get close to God and just, get into the Word. But the one for today, so I read this before work. It's called Made for Praise. Now, a lot of times we pray and we ask for things. We're always making requests instead of giving God praise and, thanking Him for the blessings. There's only like one request that I've been making recently. Only one. But anyway, today's Made for Praise, it's called, and I'm just going to read this. It says, have you ever considered how you treat the Lord? Some people lift prayer request after prayer request and yet fail to give Him glory and praise. When that's the case, they may be attempting to use the Lord to fulfill their needs and desires without demonstrating love for Him. 1 Peter 2:9 says God's people should proclaim His excellencies. Our concerns are of great importance to Him, but He also wants us to come to Him with a worshipful heart, not an attitude of self-centeredness. You may ask, what's the point of praise? When you begin to extol the Lord, your focus shifts to Him. Then you will start recalling the ways He's impacted your life. Now, this is what this video is about. I want to talk about a time where God impacted my life. And it was one of the scariest moments of my life. As Psalm 105, chapter 105, verse 5 says, remember His wonders which He has done. Praising the Lord is one of Scripture's principal themes. We're told to do so joyfully. Psalm 100, verse 1. All throughout the day. Psalm 113, verse 3. And in the presence of others. Psalm 108, verse 3 and 111, verse 1. Take some time today to reflect on the Lord's mighty work of salvation in your life. Praise the Father for His faithfulness and righteousness. When your heart is full of praise, worries will diminish, and you'll trust God to provide your needs in His own timing. So one of the times God impacted my life. Huge impact. This was about 7 years ago, August 2019. Now, at that time, my wife just left. It was just me and my boys. The apartment we were living in, we were getting evicted. I had no car. I had no job. I was just getting clean, so I was probably going through withdrawals at the time. So, such a hard time. Probably one of the hardest times that I've ever went through in my life. Ever. Because it wasn't just me, that was going through the heart. I had my boys to look after. And like I said, I had no job. I had no car. No money. I just flushed my weed. I flushed my tobacco down the toilet. My wife just left me and left us. It was probably one of the hardest moments I've ever went through in my life. I mean, that right there is one of the scariest moments ever. And I remember that week, too. It was like, I was on my knees a lot that week, crying and praying to God and asking for a miracle. And man, did He pull through. I mean, that in itself, like I said, to where I'm at now, that's a miracle in itself. And that's a huge part of my life that God made an impact. But one specific night, it was in the evening, and my youngest, who was about a year and a half at the time, him and my oldest, who was about 6 or I think he was around 6 or 7. They were playing around, and my oldest tripped him, and he fell and he bit his tongue. Now, when he bit his tongue, he bit it halfway off. I mean, it's hanging. I'm freaking out. I didn't know what to do, so I called 911. The ambulance came, picked us up. Now, I'm telling you, this was about 9 o'clock at night, so it was nighttime. I mean, we were probably getting ready to go to bed. So I had my youngest, who was a year and a half, just bit his tongue halfway off. My oldest, who was about 6. My middle one's about 4. So I had 3 boys. Like I said, had no car. So the ambulance came, picked us up, took us to the hospital. And so this is the hospital I drive by every morning before I go to work. So after I read this devotion, I was thinking of a time, there's many times in my life where God has made an impact. Many times. I can't even count how many times. But this one came to my mind specifically because, like I said, I'm driving to work and I drove by the hospital and I thought of this night. So the ambulance comes, picks us up, takes us to the hospital. We're there for a couple hours. And they can't do nothing about his tongue. So they want to send us to a specialist about half hour, 45 minutes away. I don't have a car. And they can't transport us up in ambulance because of some type of seatbelt violation for all of us. We couldn't all fit, me and my other 2 boys. So they couldn't take him up there in an ambulance. It becomes some type of seatbelt issue. I'm like getting irritated now. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do nothing? Like, why can't we go? You picked us up. You drove us to the hospital in an ambulance. Why can't we just all go up there? They couldn't do it. So by this time, it was about midnight. And my son, the whole time we're at the hospital, he's laying on me, and I think they gave him some Tylenol or something. That was it. He's falling asleep on me. They have him like some gauze in his mouth, and like I said, his tongue is hanging halfway off. It's in his mouth, and he's like, they put some gauze in his mouth, and so he's resting on me. It's midnight. They release us. Couldn't do nothing about it. I was pretty mad. I was fuming. So I didn't know what to do. And we lived in walking distance about an hour away from the hospital. I had no car. I carried my son all the way home with my 2 other youngest walking side by side. We ended up taking like railroad tracks that led all the way to our apartment. An hour walk. We didn't get home till it was after 1 in the morning. With my son injured the way he was. That night, he ended up falling asleep. That night, I prayed to God. And I said, God, heal my son. Heal my boy. There's nothing, we can't do nothing about it. I can't take him to the hospital. The hospital we were at just kicked us out, pretty much. Like, heal my son. Please, please, God. I'm begging you. That was all I could do, was pray. We wake up, and it was hard to go to sleep. It was hard to go to sleep that night with my son, the way he was. I was like, trust me, all the crazy thoughts were running through my head. So we ended up falling asleep. I wake up in the morning. My son's tongue is healed completely, like it never happened. Like it never happened. God answered my prayer, set me at ease. Talk about relief. Like, that was a huge impact in my life when God did that. Like I said, this was, when your kids are injured and you can't do nothing about it, and, sometimes it's out of your hands. And there's nothing you can do but rely on God. That was one of those instances. And I prayed that night, and I said, and waking up that morning, his tongue was back together, healed completely, like it never happened. And I'll never forget that. Ever. It's times like that where, not my doing. I had nothing to do with that. It was all God. All God. And that I thought about, and I was like, that right there is worthy of praise. And I'll never forget that. It's times like that it's happened in my life, with my kids, with me, that, that's why I'm close to God. That's why my faith is strong. God has pulled through for me in more ways than I can count. That's why my faith is strong. That's why I rely on God. That's why I am the way I am today. My trust in God is very strong because He's proven time and time again that He's there. And I can trust Him. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Like I said, one of the scariest moments in my life. One of the scariest moments. I'll never forget that. Never forget that. And I had no ride. My parents at the time, they were on their, just so happened they were on their anniversary vacation. So they were hundreds of miles away. I had no ride. But I ended up carrying, I tell you what, my shoulder was hurting the next day. I carried him the whole way, switching arms, walking for an hour. Because he was only like 1.5 years, so he was young. Like a baby. Yeah. Very crazy moment. But God pulled through. Huge impact in my life. So is there a time where you could think of that God made an impact on your life? I'm sure there are. God's in the miracle making business. He still does miracles. Trust me. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that. What an experience. And over the years since then, God has really watched out over me and my boys. I pray every day, God put a hedge of protection around me and my boys. Protect them little guys. Even my daughter who lives far away. She don't live with us, but I pray for her every single day. My kids are very important to me. Very important. Hence why one of the main reasons I got clean and sober. Because of my kids. God bless me with great kids. They deserve the best dad. And that's what I try to do. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this. I hope everyone is enjoying their week. Enjoy it while it lasts. Summer's almost over. Summer's almost over. I'm looking forward to fall, though. I do like the fall. I love the fall. The only problem with fall in Ohio, it doesn't last long. It's like a month. And then it's freezing cold for like about 9 months. I hate Ohio winter. But, yeah. Summer's drawing close to an end, so hope everyone enjoys the rest of summer. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Until next time, God bless.